Ladies and gentlemen, this is internet personality Vangelus, and although I've owned two of the figures from the very first wave of Star Wars 6-inch Black Series since they came out, I'm starting my video coverage on them with the new Force Awakens stuff. This is Krylon Ben, the new photogenic bad guy in the universe, and would you believe that part of the reason I waited until now to make this review was to avoid potential movie spoilers that may or may not be dropped in this video's comment section? I am that kind of skittish nerd mouse. By the way, avoid looking at the comments section if you are similarly spoiler nauseous, just in case. Although, by now, if you are that sensitive, I would assume you've seen the film. Just as I'm not terribly good at the nuances of the various Darth Vader armors and helmets that have appeared over the years, I generally see Cyclone Ken as a load of robes with a belt buckle and a helmet, and this figure certainly nails both of those qualities, though it is my understanding that this belt buckle's use of silver and black is either reversed or slightly different in some other way compared to the final film costume, but not necessarily compared to some official costumes that went around on the promotional prop tour. Star Wars, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, elephant in the room, this guy is covered in soft goods robes. While I've mostly spectated the Black Series, I know for a fact that its use of soft goods, when they hit this degree of soft goodery, can become disastrous, like on the Emperor Palpatine figure. I was gobsmacked to open this guy's box and discover that he was not a disaster, and in fact had extremely well done heavy action figure soft goods on a general level, and not just in the context of Star Wars Black Series. The robes have a touch of hanging weight, there's a gorgeous texture across the material, and nothing looks foofy or floaty. Even the hood. The scarf piece is molded flexible plastic, which both helps hold the torso fabric in place and creates a very lovely visual balance between plastics and cloths. I'm extremely impressed. My only major nitpick is that the robe is just too long. I wish it had lost a half-inch or so, such that it would hang just above the ground rather than drape down onto it. Getting that hood out of the way, one can see that this guy's helmet is fine. It looks enough like the one in the movie, has a clean set of silver paint apps, and while it lacks additional paint to highlight any weathering, there are sculpted dings and scratches in all the right places. The rest of his sculpt is generally quite well done, with loads of ripple chip parallel lines and a small mixture of matte and gloss blacks to set apart bits like his boots. Rilo Gen's only accessory is his crazy glitch crossguard lightsaber, which features a removable three-pronged blade. His right hand has a bit of a loose grip out of the package, mostly because he ships with the handle lodged in there, and that can be tuned a bit with some hot water cold water bending treatment. The lightsaber looks cool, though its blade is a little too anime down by the hilt since all three prongs are fused into one single piece, held together by blazing lightsaber flame energy something or other. That said, its in-universe frizz kind of covers for this to a small degree, and being a professional casual Star Wars fan, it looks kind of toyish, but not enough to bother me for prolonged bouts of yelling about it on social media. But I will briefly whine about how the handle has nowhere to store on its owner's belt, which, I don't know, when you have a removable blade and the handle can't go anywhere, it feels like it's a half-cocked feature to me. We get the hood out of the way, Kylo Ren's got a ball socket connection for his head, and it's on one of those, like, ball joint goes up and the ball joint stalks on a hinge. So theoretically, he can look up and down a bit. He sort of can, but this big PVC scarf piece is a definite hindrance in more than one way. He can't really get much tilt either. He can look left and right, and the thing I really like here is that the hood is a separate fabric piece that is, like, bound to his neck. So it turns with his head, and it looks fantastic. It's the kind of thing that, you know, you don't expect or think of until you see it in action, and I'm like, what an elegant solution to a problem that otherwise would have made this guy irritating to pose. As for his shoulders, they are on universal joints. I can go outward about this far. That's about the height of it. You gotta yank on it a little bit to get it up to this plane. There is a single elbow joint with a bicep swivel. It bends a full 90, so I'm okay with that. I know there's been a big thing about how the Black Series used to have double-hinged elbows, and they've moved to this universal joint system. I think double-hinged elbows would have been nicer, but this is a good single-hinged elbow. And then the wrist can swivel, and has its own hinge joint that goes in that direction, mostly for lightsaber stuff. Like if you have him with a lightsaber in hand, he can point it this way, or, you know, hold it up like he's going to cut someone, etc., etc. He's got some torso articulation, and the way it works is that there is a ball socket connection in here connecting the upper part of his torso to the lower part, and through all this soft stuff, you can get it to do a whole lot of things pretty well. Like, it can go ab crunchy forward and back, it can go from side to side just a little bit, and you can also use that to turn his waist, and the soft goods play real nice with it, and the joint feels very good. That's the main thing. Like, I didn't feel like I was breaking anything, at least on this copy of the toy. I don't know if there is a dedicated waist cut swivel as well. I can't identify it, I can't get this robe off of him, but I'm able to turn his waist well enough with this joint, so it's fine. His hips, if I get all this stuff up and out of the way to take a look up in there, are on simple ball socket connections, which, through all this PVC skirtage and soft goods skirtage, are able to get a pretty good range going on, and hold poses solidly. Like, this is not fighting back too much. Like, the durometer of his skirt pieces is very pleasant. And there's a cut thigh swivel up in there, a double hinged knee, which many people are looking at and going like, please be in the elbows. And then there's no boot cut. There's a straight hinge for the ankle, and then the peg that connects the foot to that hinge allows for some twist for ankle tilt action. A boot cut would have been a perfect topper here. The thigh swivel helps, of course, but I find with ankle tilts, like, a dedicated foot swivel does a whole lot too. So this guy is pleasantly posable for a Black Series toy of his price point. Does everything I've wanted him to. His hands are a little boring, but whatever. I'm really impressed with him. He's fun. He can hold his lightsaber the ways I need him to, and he can, I don't know, gesture at stuff and punch walls and just have general fits of rage. I stayed out of Star Wars 6-inch Black Series for a good long time, and Psycho Clem here is probably the best return experience I could have ever hoped for. He's a solid piece of 6-inch action figure, wrapped in possibly the best soft goods that Hasbro has ever put on shelves. The robes are a bit long and the lightsaber looks a bit goofy, even taking for granted that it's a three-pronged lightsaber, but this is a damn fine toy for its price. He's well worth the pickup if you have any inclinations towards his design, and hopefully will return to shelves enough times to satisfy the needs of a new generation of crazy Star Wars toy collectors. Anyway, this has been internet personality Vangelus, and I kinda dig the First Order's aesthetic in general, so stay tuned. Where there's a dude in a black robe, there are somewhat useless hordes of fodder in bright white armor.